combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we have another Jimmy Rants episode all ready for you guys here today. And again, if you haven't seen my Jimmy Rants videos lately, go check it out, JimmyRants.com. And once you're there, it takes you to my YouTube channel where we are housing all of these Jimmy Rants episodes, and you can watch all of my past rants. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to follow me and see these live, I do them twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, Eastern time. And you can follow me at Livin' Low Carb Man over on Instagram. But those of you who are here live at Instagram, thanks for being here. You can also watch it on the replay on Instagram for 24 hours. And coming very soon, we're trying to get the last few little logistical details worked out with the Jimmy Rants podcast. So stay tuned for that. It'll have the best of the best little snippets from all of these rants that I like to do here. So today's topic of the Jimmy Rants is this. Do you fear breathing air? Now, it sounds like a silly question at face value because everybody just axiomatically knows you need air to breathe. And if you don't breathe air, you would die, right? Everybody just knows that. Everybody knows that air, along with water, are essential in your life. That if you did not have air, you wouldn't be able to breathe, and very quickly you would run out of air in your body, and you would lose oxygen, and that oxygen being cut off in your body would kill you, right? Everybody knows that. Nobody would dispute that you need good air to breathe. Now, there is such a thing as bad air. So breathing in smog and breathing in toxins that are in the air, breathing in anything that would be harmful to you is not good. So it's not just any old air. It's good air. It's good quality air, good, fresh, breathable air. Okay? So fearing breathing air, most people would laugh at you if you said, you know, I'm so afraid of air. I'm so afraid of it that I don't want to breathe. I need to eat an air-free diet from my nose. I don't need air to get in there anymore. Nobody would ever say that. So then the question becomes this. Then why do you fear eating fat? Because like air, fat is essential in the body. A lot of people don't realize this, that fat is an essential macronutrient in your diet. If you don't eat fat, you will die. Period. If you ate zero fat, you would die. Because there are these things called essential fatty acids that if you didn't get them in obligate amounts in your body for all the things that fat does for you, you would die. Same with amino acids, the proteins. If you didn't get all the essential amino acids, you would die. Or you would start having major problems and eventually die. There is no, by the way, essential carbohydrate acids. There's just no such thing, so you don't have to eat them. But that's a story and a Jimmy Rants for another day. Today, we're focusing in on why people fear eating fat. If you don't fear breathing air, then why would you fear eating fat? Now, of course, people bring up the whole nonsense about, well, there's cardiovascular risk factors involved, that you can clog your arteries and give yourself heart disease. Okay, that's been thoroughly debunked, so that's not really a good reason to not eat fat. In fact, all the relevant markers on your cholesterol, for example, or your other blood tests that show your level of heart disease and heart disease risk, all of them get better when you eat higher fat in your diet. And so if you're fearing fat and you're not eating fat, your not going to raise your HDL cholesterol. You're not going to lower your triglyceride level. You're not going to lower your inflammation level. You're not going to get all of these markers that are key to your health in line because of your irrational fear of fat. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about how people don't fear breathing air. None of us do, right? None of us fear breathing air. Now, obviously, if you're in an environment where there's smog and things like that, maybe you're trying to get to a place where you can breathe better air. But nobody fears breathing air. So why do we fear eating fat? Because fat, like air, is essential in your life. And just like air, there's bad quality air. There's also bad quality fats. And that's where we talk about the vegetable oils and the trans fats and some of these man-made chemical-based fats that are out there. So the clean air in this analogy, if air that's pristine and clean, the clean air in this analogy with fat would be the grass-fed butter and extra virgin coconut oil and pastured lard and even like grass-fed beef and cheeses and things like that. All of that would be considered the clean air in this analogy. And then you could just go from there. So, fearing fat. Everybody thinks fat's causing them harm. They also think fat makes them fat. It does not. And we have talked about that quite a bit as well, that it's based on the calorie hypothesis that you'll lose or gain fat if you eat fat, because fat has 9 calories per gram versus protein and carbohydrate only having 4 calories per gram. So if you want to cut your calories under the calorie hypothesis, the fastest and best way to do it is to cut your fat. What these people who have said this for years don't realize is your body needs some of those things to work well. I'll give you an example of how restricting fat in the diet could destroy parts of your health. So my wife, Christine, she was 90 pounds when I met her, 95 pounds when we got married, and she was always very small, very thin. And she was always on a low-fat diet in her 20s when we were early in our marriage. And she would eat a low-fat diet because, quote, it was healthy. Little did she know that cutting out the fat in her diet actually made her gallbladder go wackadoodle on her. So eating low fat started making this sludge build up in her gallbladder because there was no bile being stimulated. Bile is what helps you emulsify the fats that you eat so that you digest them well and everything works as God intended. Unfortunately, because she didn't eat fat, the bile wasn't being stimulated. It started to sludge up. A lot of people get these things called gallstones, and it gets to the point where it's so painful that they have to have their gallbladder taken out. And that's exactly what happened to Christine. In 2006, she had her gallbladder taken out because she was eating all of this low-fat stuff. And over the years, it built up. She started getting pain in her side. And then suddenly the doc's like, oh, your gallbladder's all gunky and sludgy and nasty. We got to take it out. And now today she has to take bile salts and digestive enzymes and other means to mimic the effects of the bile. All of that happened because she feared fat. All of that happened for no good reason other than she believed that fat was going to harm her. I want people to hear me loud and proud and clear. Fat in the context of eating real whole food-based fats, and also in the context of eating a carbohydrate-restricted diet, mostly of green leafy vegetables and non-starchy vegetables. That fat that you consume in your diet cannot, will not, should not harm you in any way possible. Any more so than the air that you're breathing right now. I'm inside my vehicle and I have no fears about the air that I'm breathing. Now, sometimes you're in places where you're like, ooh, it smells funky in here. You want to get out of there. And I don't do well, by the way, if I'm in what's that, Yankee Candle store? I can't go in that store. It's just way too overwhelming. That's not good air That's grain-fed beef air to me, because I'm just not doing well in that air. And so that's one example of this analogy of I don't do well. I just don't. So anyway, so we're ranting all about, do you fear breathing air? No, nobody does. But do you fear eating fat? And I would say for most people, yes. Yes, they do. So if that's you today, if you're still fearing fat, I want you to take a deep, hard look at yourself and continue to learn. Continue to read. Read things like Nina Teicholz's The Big Fat Surprise. Read books about the positive benefits of having more fat. Time magazine on their front cover in the 1980s put this sad-faced 2 eyes with the eggs and then a frown bacon, and it was talking about fearing fat. But just a few years back, 2-3 years back, they did a reversal, and now they had a picture of butter on the front cover, and it said, we wrongly vilified fat. Go find that article. It's probably online. You can see all the benefits that come from this, but your body will be so happy. Your fat head will be so thrilled that you've added back in this thing that it's been starving for a very long time. Stop fearing the fat. Because you don't fear breathing air, you shouldn't fear eating fat. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Thanks for being here today, you guys. Good morning, Tracy. Hello, hello. Hey, Stacy. Happy Sunday to you. Tracy says, learning how, what, and when it is possible, quite possibly the greatest keto lesson. Most of us do not know how to eat at the start of keto. Yes, I even made that mistake when I started on the Atkins diet. Even though I read Dr. Atkins' book, and in there he talked about eating more fat, my brain couldn't go there right away. So when I first started, I was eating low carb, very low carb, but I couldn't get my brain to get there with the fat thing. So I also slightly restricted fat, but not obsessively so. And then once I realized that when you take away the carbohydrate, you have to replace it with another macronutrient, you're only going to eat just so much protein. So the only other macronutrient that you can raise is fat. Now, that doesn't mean you're just sitting there gnawing on sticks of butter all day. People often mock me when I say a high-fat, low-carb diet. They go, well, Jimmy Moore just sits there and, mainlines on butter all day. No. What I do is I use fat strategically to increase my satiety and to make myself feel fuller so I don't have to eat as often or as long as I used to. And then I'm able to put the food down, and really I could intermittent fast for a very long time after I eat that way. I've never had as much control over my food choices and over the way I feel quite like since I've added in more fat to my diet. I don't fear breathing air, and I sure the heck don't fear eating fat. Hello, Frank. Air and water, necessity. Bad air and bad water, they are prevalent, toxic world. Yes, fat is essential like protein and water and air. Frank, you nailed it, man. You just summarized my whole Jimmy rants for me, so thank you for that. All right, welcome in. Hey, Lindy, how are you doing? How you doing? Hello, low-carb, high-fat fella. I see all my usual suspects in here. Debbie, thank you for being here. I had my gallbladder taken out in 2002. I was also doing a low-fat diet. Yeah, Ashton, this is one of the biggest untold reasons why gallbladders are taken out. And Christine, my wife Christine, is a nutritional therapy practitioner, and what she learned through the program was that fat is essential at keeping that bile working properly. And if you don't feed your body fat, then you're not going to be able to create the bile, and thus it starts to get sludgy. People get gallstones. It was very painful for Christine and her side for a very long time, and finally they just take it out. She could have healed it had she known then what she knows now through her training, but we're trying to sound the alarm. This is a big reason why you don't want to be cutting fat in your diet. As a Popka mom says, fat is my friend. Yes, it is. Hello, Dory. Thanks for all the hearts and love. Super excited about your book release. Thank you. Yes, Real Food Keto is coming Tuesday. realfoodketo.com if you want to pick up a copy. We appreciate that. Amy Marm Brewster says, yes, we fear fat. We've been brainwashed for so many years. It will take a while before people will understand. And I'm hoping that my work and the work of other people like Nina Teicholz, like Gary Taubes, like all these people who are trying to bring fat back, we understand the role, the positive role that fat plays in your health. Where it's muddied is people still don't see the difference between fats. They just think fat is bad. And so because trans fats are a fat, because vegetable oils are a fat, and we kind of vilify both of those things, they don't see the difference between that and, say, saturated fats like butter and coconut oil and lard and those kinds of things. So this is where education comes in. It's why I'm so passionate. It's why I come on here and do these Jimmy rants. People just aren't getting the good information. Tracy says, I had my gallbladder taken out in 2009 due to eating low fat. And see, what I want to know is all of these doctors that have been performing the surgeries to remove gallbladders, why haven't they, from an ethical standpoint, stood up and gone, I'm noticing every single one of my patients that I'm taking the gallbladder out of are eating a low-fat diet. Maybe there's a correlation which might be a causation here. Nobody's ever done that, so that I'm aware of. Debbie says, the good fat keeps us satisfied longer. You don't eat as much. Exactly. Fat is freedom. It sure is. What's your favorite keto breakfast? Well, since I don't eat a traditional breakfast, it's now 10 o'clock in the morning here. I don't traditionally eat breakfast at like 7 or 8 in the morning like a lot of people do. Now, I do have a break fast, and my break fast is whatever time I want it to be because I'm breaking my fast midday. That's a whole nother Jimmy Rants for another day. But we do have backyard chicken, so I do love making me some nice fresh eggs cooked in grass-fed butter, a little bacon on the side, and if I can get it to be ripe, I'll have some avocado with that as well. I was trying to do lower fat keto, fail. Yes, Dory. All of us do that until you read a book like my book, Keto Clarity, and you understand the value that fat has. You really can't do it well. Now, Dr. Atkins, bless his heart, he told people to cut the carbs, but then he said, oh, just have however much fat and protein you want. Well, he didn't realize at the time that our fat-phobic society would say, okay, I get cutting my carbs, but we know fat's bad for you, so therefore I'll eat more protein. And then what happens is you can only just eat so much protein. Then you're trying to restrict carbs and fat, and your body starts rebelling on you. Coach Courtney, 75, I did low fat for a long time and low carb. When I added fat back into my body, I felt so good. My hormones leveled out. My libido returned, and my husband loved that benefit. TMI alert, Courtney, TMI. But yes, all of that is exactly true, and people don't realize their hormones are controlled by the amount of fat and the kinds of fats that they eat. So Courtney learned firsthand the value of having these quality fats, increased her estrogen levels, increased her husband's, if he decided to eat this way, testosterone levels. It's a beautiful thing when you think about what fat does for you, not what fat does to you. I am fat adapted and food doesn't trigger me anymore. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Super excited for Real Food Keto. Thank you, Lindy. We are too. Hashtag bringing fat back. I like that, Dory. Or hashtag fat is sexy. I don't know about that, but whatever you say. They are undereducated about nutrition. Ashton, I'm not sure who they are, but I would say as a whole, society is. Doctors definitely are. So we just have to keep teaching them. My first meal is about 1 to 3 p.m. Yeah, Dory, I'm right there with you. Usually my first meal of the day is somewhere around midday as well. Hello. Thanks for being here. Hello, Ricky. Thanks for being here. Jimmy, I love you. That's all that matters today. You're absolutely amazing. I love your happy face. Thank you, Ricky. Ricky is on an encouragement kick lately. I've seen lots of great posts from you, so thank you for your encouragement here today. Natasha loves keto. I've been using MCT oil nearly daily for a few months. How important is it? I don't use a lot of MCT oil per se in my diet. It is a good fat, so don't get me wrong, but I think because it's a precursor to the development of ketones in your blood, that it could give you a skewed result of how you're doing on your ketogenic diet. So some people, they basically take very high doses of MCT oil and oh, look, I'm in ketosis, not realizing that their body's not endogenously making the ketones. So I'm a little leery of relying on them heavily. But if you want to use them strategically at times when you know you want to have higher amounts of ketones, maybe you want your brain health to thrive a little bit, take them then, but I wouldn't take them just willy-nilly on a daily basis. Eat low carb, moderate protein, high fat, real food, and you should be able to endogenously make your own ketones from that diet manipulation. Barbie's Park says, thank you for your rants. Thank you. I love doing these. Coach Courtney 75, what fat does for you, not to you. Love that. Yes, there's lots of good things that it does for you. All right. Oh, Dory has a future Jimmy Rants idea. How do you stay on plan over the holidays? Stay tuned, Dory. We'll do that. All right, guys, I'm going to pop off of here with today's episode of Jimmy Rants. As always, go to jimmyrants.com and you can see the replay of all my rants. I think I'm up to I think this is number 30 of my rants. I've only started this about a week and a half ago, and we're already up to 30 rants on YouTube. So go watch those. And if you're watching me on YouTube, go over to Instagram, follow at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. You can watch these lives in the morning and in the evening. I do them twice a day, and then you can watch them on the replay for up to 24 hours there, and you get to see all the beautiful comments that are down there on YouTube. The comments don't transfer over, but if you want to interact with me and then watch the comments as they come in, or push the hearts button like my friend Dory is doing like a mad woman. Thank you, Dory, for that. Then head on over to Instagram and follow me there. But again, jimmyrants.com. You see all the videos of my past rants. And coming very soon, guys, I am so excited to release the debut of the Jimmy Rants podcast that'll have snippets from these rants. We're hoping to make it maybe like a 10-minute show where people would get a taste of a lot of the passion that I have for a lot of these issues that I talk about here. So until the next Jimmy Rants, we'll see you then, guys.